Dr. Robert Reti, the legend. How we doing? Uh-oh. Wait, I'm not hearing you. It's not coming through. You could try like signing out and signing back in. That might work. That usually helps. Face is shining from. Jeez. There we go.
All right, let me just change monitors.
That's a lot better.
All right, how are you, buddy? It's been a while.
I'm great. How are you doing?
Doing good, man. Back in the Midwest where it's snowing, and once it snows, it's amazing. Everything just shuts down like completely. I was getting texts and everything from my child's like school saying, early release, watch out for the snow, the buses are gonna be late. I'm like, that's a shocker because like I grew up in Toronto, and this is nothing. This is like a dusting. So it's definitely changed a lot of things when we moved to the Midwest. How's
Yeah, that
that?
is different.
How's things on the East Coast?
Good on Long Island. It looks like, my schedule tomorrow looks like Swiss cheese now. It's full of holes. A lot of people canceled already. And the office manager talked. I had no idea. And I was looking at the schedule, and the office manager came up to me. He's like, I'm getting phone call after phone call saying people that they're not going to be able to make it in tomorrow because of the snowstorm. And I'm like, what, snowstorm? What? That's December 1st. So what are you talking about?
Yeah, and I guess as a current resident or a former resident, like snowstorm. Who cares? You still go in, right? That's just the way
Yeah, like,
snow.
how is
Okay,
that going to change things, right?
it's on Tuesday. It's all it is. So
We'll be there either way, right?
I guess does it feel good to be out of residency and like doing things on your own, no one over your shoulder, or
It
is it weird? Like it's like, oh, I can make my own calls, and this is like my patient.
it's great in that regard. It's great. I gotta say, adding on the studying on top of the first 6 months out is because it's like you're just starting to get your feet in the water. Your feet wet in the practice. You're like trying to get hospital privileges. I'm still working on that. I You're trying to find little bits and pieces in the day to study, which
Yeah,
is like people don't understand. When you're an undergrad, when you're in college, dental school, maybe a little bit in residency, you get not even residency, but you get to sit down and study for a couple hours at a time. When you're out, this. Everything's on us. Everything, the responsibilities that you have to get things done. It's real life, but you don't get a chance to just sit down. So I'm finding like it's 30 minutes at Starbucks. It's 30 minutes driving to work. It's 30 minutes after work. It's little 30-minute blocks here and there. So it's frustrating because it's like at the end of the day, it's like I got 45 minutes in or something. But it's been frustrating. Everything else, I got no complaints. But
just
how are you doing?
I'm doing good, man. Busy as always. Finished my call week of 10 days on call. It wasn't that bad actually, so things are good. I'm in the phase of my career where everything is just like I show up, and I do the work. I'm not really looking at the schedule anymore.
Yeah.
I know how to handle everything. Oh, in my head I do, but it's a nice phase of being on cruise. Like nothing really worries you. I have a great team, great staff, which took time, of course. You've got to find the team member which you kind of mesh with and have the same kind of work ethic that you do, but also personality. So I'm in a good spot. Like I've been blessed. I have good friends, good family, and job is sweet. So I'm just enjoying my life right now. Again, but I hear trying to find time. That's it. And things just snowball, and you try and plan your day out. All this, at 7 o'clock I'll do this, 8 o'clock I do this. By 8:39 I'm done. I've been doing stuff since 5. But in my mind, I can do everything still. I'm still 21, and I have all the energy on earth. It's not true anymore. The worst part is I'm looking at. I've never actually done a podcast where I actually show my actual face. I can see the little light on top of my balding head, so or bald head. So yeah, reality check.
More light the better. More light the better. Don't shy away from it.
Just shave it off, man.
Oh, that's excellent. That's excellent. Oh yeah. It's good. That's good. I was glad we got to meet at the St. Louis boards course.
Did you have a good time?
I had a great time. I had a really good time.
Did
Did you
you
have a good time?
Well, obviously for me, it's a little different experience. I'm not the one being grilled. No, but it's always a great time. I get to meet a lot of cool, interesting doctors from around the country. Everyone has their own little, I guess, story and their own experience, which is awesome. Plus, being a little older, I kind of know some of the faculty, so like I kind of ask questions about them. How do they treat you, etc.
Mm.
For me, it's more also a very social hour. Like a lot of the proctors and the lecturers actually are friends of mine who are around the country. So we come on in, we have, good meal. We kind of tell war stories. And again, and then we can go and talk about shop all day. So it's great. Obviously we do it every year, and every year we always look forward to it. So it's a great time. Oh,
I thought I'd share this really quick for listeners and viewers. This is you guys. I think this is your last year photo, though, if I'm not mistaken.
yeah, the year before. Yes, yes.
Yeah,
We're
2024.
still catching up on the social media part of it.
We'll catch up. Look at this. You got a couple good photos over here. I just Googled, and all this came right up. This is really good.
Oh yeah, no, I've never actually Googled myself, to be honest. I'm always worried to see all those comments which may be negative about me. So you just never know.
So this is your practice right here, huh?
Yeah, Southwest Oral Surgery. It's about a 60-year-old practice. I got lucky. I kind of like you jumped into a well-established practice with a great group of other doctors. They kind of let me do my own thing, carve up my own little niche. I couldn't be happier. Like I really didn't have to do much practice building per se because we had a lot
Yeah.
of referral base. Of course, we did all the shaking hands and and all the introductions, but it was a really good practice, and I got really, really lucky. And they actually kind of found me because I was a fellow here in St. Louis, and I
Mm-hmm.
was, and then I guess my former, mentor was trying to hire me. Long story on that one. But in the end, my wife, who was also a dentist, she worked for a local DSO, and I guess one of her patients found Dr. Hosh, who was one of my partners who I guess retired about 2 years ago, and I guess he was trying to get a hold of me. So basically, they recruited me, and they found me, just by being in town, and they wanted to talk to me, and literally, like, it was a very fair deal, and I couldn't say no to it, and yeah, I literally lucked out when it came to job market because I had to do no searching. They came after me, and the deal was like unbelievably fair. So I was
Yeah.
like, sign me up. So I got, yeah, I couldn't be like I have horseshoes. I will say it right now. I just lucked out just being
Yeah.
in St. Louis. The group of friends that I have here, they're amazing. Everyone gets along. We all work together, even though we're in all different practices. We just kind of have a really good friend group here. And of course, we have the fellowship, which we
Mm-hmm.
right at Mercy Hospital. So our friend network is getting bigger and bigger every year. So no, this is, again, I gotta count my blessings because I don't know what to say, man. I just got really, really lucky. I wish it was me involved. Somehow I found my own path. Literally, I just landed here, and that was it. It's like,
That's what it's all about. It's
yeah,
about settling into something you're comfortable with. You're excited to do every single day. If that's where you're at, that's where I hope all of people that going into oral surgery can get there because, it can get stressful. It get very stressful at times. It's very busy when you go to, into the hospital every day in residency and you're just getting shafted left and right. And you got to see the light at the end of the tunnel. And so you're the epitome of that right now. And you are a legend in our space. Like having been in this book, like you guys put together the book. I want to show that in a second, but really quickly before we get off the topic of the practice, because you said different offices right here, which practice are you in? You got Crestwood, you got
yeah. So
Fenton,
we
you
actually
got
rotate through all three of them. So
oh
I'm at Fenton, 2.5 days a week. I'm at Crestwood only 1 day a week right now, and up in Chesterfield, I'm there twice a week. So we kind of just rotate throughout the actual practices, and so we kind of get our names out there. And the cool thing is, because of the way that we're structured, we're a true partnership. So it's not like you kill what you eat. It's more like we all share everything. So if your patient has a problem, it's my patient. So I take the same
yeah.
care. I'm not like disgruntled, like, oh, this is his problem. Why am I seeing them? Like, no, they're
Mm.
all of them are all our patients. So it's kind of nice where, we're not, I'm not worried if I'm gone, there's going to be like, oh, well, they'll be pushed down the road. Like everyone's treated just like patients. So
Yeah.
it's just a great team. I'm super happy if you can't tell. Again, I lucked out. It's all I can say. I hope everyone falls in the same situation where you find a good group of mentors around you and good friends
Yeah.
around you. At least here in St. Louis, everyone just gets along. We're just happy to be here.
And so tell me more about this, how you did the fellowship, I know, and then you fell into this practice. How many years have you been at the practice? Who is the mentor you were mentioning before? I got to hear all of this. And a quick
Oh,
side note, the fellowship, there, as far as I left off, you probably have more information than I do on this. I think they still have an open spot for next year's spot for the
yeah.
fellowship.
So now, because of the growth of Mercy Hospital, we now offer 2 spots every single year. It's a really, really wonderful fellowship. First of all, why did I go to the fellowship? Okay, because obviously, why would obviously I want to do more than just teeth and titanium. And I went to Tufts in Boston, and at that time, we really didn't do much T&J. We didn't do much cosmetics. So I wanted to do more, but I didn't feel comfortable because obviously, repetition is a mother of all learning. So I just have enough reps yet. So I was looking around. I saw this fellowship in St. Louis where it kind of covered everything. I didn't want to do head and neck cancer. I didn't want to do
Mm.
just cosmetics, but I wanted to be able to talk about it, maybe kind of dabble in it. So I applied. At the time there was 5 doctors who were like part of the training program. It was really cool because we got to do a lot of because I just looking at the I guess their case logs, and they're actually posted online every year of all the cases that cases the fellows do. And the cool part is we got to work not only with oral surgeons but also cosmetic surgeons as well, who are oculoplastics as well as ENT. For example, if you ever look up the names John Holds, Dr. Mike Nyack, those
Mhm.
guys are just legends in the facial plastic surgery realm. And obviously, with Dr. Holds, I was doing a lot of oculoplastics, so I was able to kind of actually scrub in with him and his fellow, do a lot of cosmetic and kind of ocular procedures. With Dr. Nyack, I was actually able to go to his office and watch him do his mastery. If you see him on Instagram, he's good. Like that's all I can say. He's good. He's humble. He's a nice guy, and let me kind of watch him. He let me ask questions. It was great. And then also you get to work with other teams in the hospital. Like now there's a Dr. Namey who's actually part of the ENT,
Mhm.
I guess, faculty. He does, head and neck and does cosmetics. So we get to kind of dabble in everything. You basically, in a way, can also make your own fellowship. If you want to do a lot of head and neck cancer, there's a bunch of head and neck cancer doctors who would love to have you on board watching them. If you want to do cosmetics, you have tons of people who are doing cosmetics. So like 4 days out of the week, you're really tied down to the oral surgeons who are there. One day a week, usually you can kind of go and do your own thing. If you want to find the doctor, kind of grab onto, you want to do cleft lip palate, watch them do their thing. So, it's just a great thing where you basically get to observe everything that you want to observe, scrub into a lot of cases, get your experience, and get comfortable doing
Mhm.
these things. So eventually, when you are the doctor on the other side of the table watching a resident or a fellow, or colleague, you are very comfortable because you get this repetitions of working with the experts.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. If there was one fellowship in the United States, I would definitely pick St. Louis. And you know what? Another thing that you can't like that a lot of the stuff you could see online, you could read about a lot of things. Your group of guys, the gentlemen that make up the fellowship, just excellent people, and you get to meet most of them at the St. Louis course, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Just such a great group of guys, and that's something that we all know from residency, but people that aren't in residency yet, dental students, whoever's listening to this right now, like you have to remember, you're with each other, your residents, your co-residents, your other fellows, the attendings, like day in, day out. Sometimes you don't even see your family for days. You need to get along with these people that you're with all the time. If you're with a good group of guys, like you could sit down and have a beer with and just chat, that's really what you're looking for. And I was very surprised with how humble, down to earth, and easy to talk to all you guys were on that course. That's something I really appreciate, and I like to really talk about that.
Well, thank you. Again, no, every single one of these guys, they're awesome. They're very humble. They actually want to teach you, and they don't treat you like a resident. They treat you like
Right.
a colleague. So, you're actually working with them. The cases are yours to kind of cut on, and they're going to ask you what you want to do, and of course they'll kind of quiz you a little bit. But no, everyone, even after they actually graduate the actual fellowship, we're on a group text. If there's a question that you have about a case, or you had a complication, which never happens to me personally, but you basically post in the group, and everyone will say, "This is what I would do," or "This is what I've done." So you're not alone. Again, you become part of this community of just friends and colleagues who are just always chatting and like meeting up and going on trips, and it's kind of like a lifestyle. It's a friendship, which you're really going to forge here. Is a bunch of doctors who want to see you grow it and are rooting you on. Like, hey, go, go ahead and like prosper. So again, I lucked out coming here, and I wouldn't change a thing.
Tell me about the transition from. So when did you finish fellowship, and then when you start practicing? How long have you been at the one here? That was the next step too.
Yeah. So I graduated from Tufts in 2013. Did the fellowship from 2013 to 2014. Joined the practice 2014. So I've been in practice since 2014. So it's 11 years. And so the transition, again, obviously, like anyone else, when you first come out, you kind of got to find what you want to do. And that's always the hardest part because, at least as a resident, you always have to say yes, and you have to kind of dabble in everything. When you're out on your own or out in the real world, I'm sure you're kind of experiencing the same thing. You got to figure out what you want to do and how you're going to get there and what you're going to say no to. Very simple. One thing you have to understand is that because you aren't a resident, you don't have to get dumped on all the time. And one thing I tell all the fellows when you come join us, you're not really fellow like in the sense where like you're in a program which is very rigid and people can kind of dump on you. You are actually attending at the hospital, so definitely reach out for help, and you don't have to be rounding at 6 a.m. and reporting everything back to you can still live your daily life, go to the gym in the morning, and definitely do your responsibilities. But the one thing you get to learn is that you don't have to be to someone's beck and call 24/7. So getting out of residency, I was so used to saying yes to everything, like every call, every opportunity, every surgery, and then eventually I started doing what I liked to do, and what I didn't, and what I didn't want to do, and I started to like say, maybe I don't want to do this crazy cancer, this crazy difficult case. You'd be treated better maybe in this hands, right? So I would prefer cases which I feel comfortable that I can provide the best care to, because I knew that someone else would do better than me. But then also it's kind of the trying to figure out what your role is in the practice as well. So obviously in a private practice, obviously the most lucrative thing to do is teeth and titanium. And a lot of my partners, they're a little older, they have kids, they want to get home on time, and they didn't want to do any of the bigger surgeries, and that's fine. So so obviously what I would do, I've taken on all the more, I guess, hospital based patients, and one thing I had to realize that I don't have to do all the cases at night anymore. I can, because one thing during the fellowship, which I failed to explain to you, that I learned their style of practice was basically work in the morning and then go to hospital at night, which I'm sure a lot of people do because you unfortunately don't make most of your income doing the hospital cases. For those who are just coming out, a real shocker will be seeing the EOBs that you get from the medical insurance, and unfortunately, if you go to the hospital, it's a passion project. Yes, there's some people who can definitely make themselves like, a Larry Wolford, where they can charge a great deal of money for doing great work. But people like me who are doing the bread and butter stuff, usually the trauma and the orthodontics, they're not gonna put you behind that Ferrari. So that being said, I had to realize, that getting out, I'd have to work at night. I had partners who can, handle the practice during the actual working hours. So I started doing cases in the morning and not feel bad, that I wasn't in the practice producing.
Mm.
So it's just finding, again, I'm probably not explaining it very well, but it's basically finding your role, and also finding what makes you happy, what's going to make you go through the day without kind of banging your head on the wall. So I figured out that my role was doing the more interesting complex cases, which kind of get me more deeper into the hospital. Where one cool thing about doing the more complicated cases, I get to meet a lot of other surgeons and from other specialties, so I was able to kind of work with them and delegate the cases to them as well, and their parts. But without carrying out track here, so yeah, finding your role in your practice and in your community, and see what you want to do and what kind of practice you want to run, and of course finding CE, finding other methods and trying to keep your talents up to date. I don't know if I didn't answer that right, but the reality is I had to find my role in my practice, and I'm more of the guy who does more, I guess, hospital-based cases. If that makes sense. So, if my partners don't want to see a orthodontic consult, I'll see them happy. I kind of realized I can do that on my own time, and I can carve out my days to fit my schedule. That made any sense at all.
That made a lot of sense. Absolutely. I'm following to the T. You found your niche in the practice. You said two of your partners are a little bit older, and you're one of the younger guys, and they want to make it home by a certain time, and you're willing to go to the hospital and do it, even though, like you said, it doesn't necessarily pay the bills, the trauma, the orthognathics, but it helps people. And you're working with the residents, so a lot of the grunt work, a lot of the scut work, isn't necessarily on you. I love that. This makes complete sense to me. Absolutely. And how did you get to the? What was that?
You're a good man.
No, seriously.
Yeah.
But how did you get to this point? Because in the practice, it kind of shifted in that sense where you're doing a lot of hospital based and they're doing a lot of, but you're also in the office, and you were saying how you can adjust your office hours in order to match your OR schedule. That is so important. And I think people that join a DSO, people that join a private practice, people that join places that aren't near the nearest hospital that you could just go, it's very hard to do that. I think private practice is where you are a partner, because you're a partner now in there, right? I think that is the ultimate way to do that, because if you need to change around the schedule, you're the partner in the practice. Like, hey, I have an OR case I got to go to this morning, or in a couple mornings. Can we shift all the appointments back a little bit? You have the opportunity to do that. If you're at a DSO, it's in their hands. They have all the power. If you're at a private practice owned by someone else, you're an associate, they have all the power. So I'm just trying to put that perspective into play here with listeners and viewers, because it makes complete sense. But until you go through residency and then you're in practice, it might be hard to understand how the pieces come together, that puzzle. So you were in Toronto, and then you went to Boston. Where did you go to Tufts Dental School as well, or
to Detroit Dental School, so Detroit Mercy, and then after there, I got into Tufts oral surgery, and then I went to St. Louis for the fellowship. So kind of working my way more south and mid. So yeah, it's been interesting. One of the cool things about being educated in different parts of the country, I get to basically enjoy that new city for 4 years and be part of it and kind of move on and take the good and the bad from them. Also meet a lot of cool people. So I'm sure you trained in the East Coast you went to Sunnybrook and then NYU Bellevue.
Yeah.
You kind of in the East Coast area, right?
Yeah, you remember. Thanks, man.
No problem,
Yeah. I didn't get to branch out too much, unfortunately. So it's all kind of honed into that New York scope, if you will. But it is what it is.
People want to live in New York, so no, you're in a good spot there, man. I've been moving south and also now to the Midwest, and I got to kind of see that part of the world and enjoy. If I had the opportunity, I won't lie to you, I'd move back to Boston later on because I just loved Boston. Being able to walk everywhere, that's the biggest change. Is that I was literally 70 pounds lighter from just walking everywhere in Boston. Like here, you drive everywhere. One, there's no traffic, but everything's so kind of spaced out. But in Boston, one thing that me and my wife loved was just like literally walking into dinner, walking after dinner, walking back and forth, to work. So it was, the walking kind of I kind of miss that. That was believe it or not, that was a great part of my day. Was kind of venting by kind of getting out, by walking the streets, and also Boston has great architecture. So maybe one day, if I can afford it, I'll move back there. But we'll
get yourself a little condo, maybe a little flat, one of the apartments.
We've been talking about it. Obviously, it all matters where the kids end up. That's what my wife's doing, near them. So as long as we're hoping they'll at least move to a cool city growing up. So
yeah. Oh, really quick. So you said you are a big guy. You are very big. How tall are you, by the way? We don't have to go into weight, but it's all muscle. I just got to throw that out there. How tall are you?
No, I'm 6'5", 320. I got lucky, I guess, with that. Well, obviously the cons are it's hard to find clothes.
6'5".
You know what? That's a great question. And my dad was probably 6'2". My mom was like 5'4". I think it just worked out, I guess. Yeah. I can reach the cookies on the tall shelf. So that's why I got it for 320, right?
It's always nice because, I mean, and so many residents are going to listen to this. They've been studying from the same textbooks that I'm studying from. And all we see is a name. Why don't I bring this up? But then I want to go back to Boston. Why don't I bring this up right now? Because we see this, we see this, your name right here,
Yes,
along with
and Dr.
Dr.
Finley.
Finley.
He is the man. Dr. Finley, probably one of the smartest, humble people you'll ever meet. So let me tell you a story. Okay, so how does this all come to be? So Dr. Finley was the fellowship year after me, and so we're both studying for like oral boards as well as so oral boards. And Dr. Finley, he would literally be studying in my basement, like after like hours on the weekend, like going through tons of textbooks, writing down all these really dense notes. It actually Dr. Finley who said, "Hey, why don't we publish a book?" I'm like, "Why not?" Like we have all these like pages and mounds of like notes that we did. We spent painstakingly kind of went through and kind of tried to boil down everything. And my task was to find the actual publisher. And him and I, we had friends around the country and said, "Hey, do you want to jump on?" And surprisingly, we got very few no's. We got to reach out to people who we thought would never say yes to us, like Myron Tucker, nicest guy on earth, like barely knew me, and said, "Yeah, sure." He edited it, and we got really super lucky, and it just kind of came together where we basically took our notes and we summarized it in a book, and we just kind of got it published. And yeah, I'm actually, before I was talking to you, we're on our second version, editing it down. We have a lot of great new authors, a lot of, great new updates. Obviously, we're trying to roam through the literature and make sure everything's up to date. But yeah, no, it's been kind of a cool thing. It's definitely not a moneymaker. If you think it's publishing a book is going to get you rich and famous, unless you're like Stephen King, there's only your audience is very narrow. But it's more about us kind of making sure that we are up to up to date on the cutting edge of knowledge, and also just kind of again, this is kind of the night is how the course came to be, getting our names out, and it's kind of fun, And it was surprising how many people after I actually published it reached out and said, "Hey, like thanks for writing the book." I'm like, "Okay, like well, why didn't who did I never met, like even like the University of Michigan oral surgery, docs reach out to us. I'm like, wow, like, I look up to you guys. Like why you say hi to me? Like I'm just some guy in the Midwest. So no, it's been a blessing. Same time, a lot of hours editing. My wife obviously a little bit neglected. For us always kind of hanging out and me and Jamie hanging out, but it's would not recommend it for your own personal health, but for your own like personal growth. It's a great thing to do.
Mm. Oh yeah, this is what we're all using to study this. I mean, I can't tell you how many people they're promoting your book, they're using your book. I'm using it day, night, morning, all the above.
Well,
This is my main resource for
I'm
studying.
hoping you're enjoying it, and I know that it'll work. Again, like the goal is to have something that's easy to kind of carry around, not a huge textbook. You kind of pick it back and flip through it and just get to what you want to know.
Oh yeah.
And hopefully, hopefully the next version will be as good and have the same kind of reception. Again, I enjoy reading it, and again, also the connections of like the people who I'm getting to like know from just writing this. Like we got Dr. Ashish Patel on the new one, and again, like these are the guys who I look up to. Like they're doing amazing things, doing great things, and it's like wow, I can't believe I get to talk to you. Like and so it's been absolutely awesome though. It's definitely has grown by friendship base and also personal knowledge. So it's a good time.
Yeah, from top to bottom. And that's another thing to mention. Well, two things.
Yeah.
Two things. Guys of the course are in this book. So anyone that's listening to the podcast, like this is the book that we are using, everyone's using to study for the oral board exam. Oral board exam is part 2 of the certifying. This is the board certifying exam. Next thing I want, and you meet them, you meet everyone in this, not almost everyone
Yeah.
in these textbooks at the St. Louis boards course. That's where I met you.
Yes.
This new book coming out, you got even more in it, a lot more material. I'm sure this is going to be a much bigger book. I was talking about it with Dr. Yenser a couple weeks ago. I'm very excited to see this book when it comes out.
Dr. Yenser, the brain, that guy is also wow. Like again, like I know how like yeah. Dr. Yenzer, yeah, he's heavily involved. He's the new co-editor. So it'll be me, Damien, and I'll stop Dr. Yenzer, and he's just a machine. I don't know if you ever like talked to that guy. Like he just
Yeah.
he is. It's like, sir, I'm not worthy. So yeah, so he's added a lot of extra material. You know, he did the fellowship at Duke, so a
Mhm.
lot of good cranial facial and trauma pictures. Like just he's done it all, seen it all. So yeah, you know, the new book obviously will be up to date. You know, we're going through the literature to make sure that you know anything that may be outdated is now updated. We're obviously you know using the more current, I guess, papers you know, to back that
Yeah.
up. But yeah, it won't be a textbook. We still want to keep it in that you know in your hand fashion where you can kind of flip through it. But you know, but a lot more pictures when it comes to the dissections and a lot more imagery to it. But again, you know, the reality is how much has you know really changed.
Mm.
You know, the one thing is that we're getting a lot of new authors to have their new, you know, maybe a different spin on the topic. So that's going to be, you know, the big thing is getting a new set of eyes on this.
Yeah.
And seeing you know what may have been missing or what you know other authors may want to add because this is their flavor. So I think you see a lot of names which you might recognize even on like you know we all have Instagram. A lot of the you know people who are
Mm.
posting a lot of those educational videos and also you know clinical tips. So I've asked them to kind of you know jump on board. So yeah, it should be a real update. But again, obviously the basics are going to be there, stuff that you have to know, and then stuff that you need to know, and then the nice
Yeah.
cool little tidbits will kind of you know throw it in, and of course we're adding a lot of new cases, so you're not kind of bored. When, you know, if you have the first version, you'll see a lot of new cases of war type you know questions at the end of every chapter. Plus, we're going to throw in some ethical questions as well, because that's kind of the new one that people are like, how do I really approach
Mm.
this? So that's probably the most interesting part is picking up those questions. But yeah, no, it's. I think you'll get a good reception, and I hope everyone has a chance to at least look at it. And if you like it, give me a shout out on Instagram. Say hi to me. 'Cause that's the most rewarding part. Is like doctors who have never met. You know, they'll say, "Oh, thanks so much," and it's like, dude, thanks for you know giving a look. I appreciate it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm going to be pushing this. I'm going to be pushing this book too. I also appreciate it. I mean, I got to say the course. This course was outstanding. I mean, you go through so many cases. You learn in the material in the mornings, and you have cases in the afternoon, and then a happy hour or a dinner at night. Excellent, excellent. I wanted to get into. So we touched on the book. We touched on the course. We touched on the new one coming out. Outstanding. I wanted to learn more about you, and so I know you were saying the niche in the hospital and then practices and stuff. What are some of the day to day cases that you just love it, or maybe you got something coming up that you're excited about? What do you look forward to like day to day? You know what I mean?
You know what, day to day, again, there's again, I'm at the point in my career where I know what I want to do. Ortho ethics, I want to do trauma, I want to obviously dental, alveolar. So you know, the day to day things which makes me excited is you know, one meeting. I have a great team around me where we really get along, and that's one of the biggest things for me. Is I take a lot of time to kind of, you know, go through a few assistants and see who I kind of want to know, who I kind of blend with. But
Yeah.
day to day, you know, my biggest thing, to be honest, is you know, is working with the fellows. You know, and that's not me trying to BS you. The reality is that you know it's exciting. You know, because when you do the same thing every single day, you know, you've seen 1,000 traumas, you've seen 1,000 orthodontic cases, right? But
Mhm.
it's just that you know having the fellows kind of working with you at you know, and they're kind of telling you their spin on things, and you know things they may take for like granted, but one of the coolest parts of you know teaching is learning.
Mhm.
Because these fellows are from around the country. They've worked with some of the best attendees out there, people who I've only write about. So you actually go to hang out with them, and you pick up all these little cool little tricks. So Doctor So and So does it this way. I'm like, oh, that's a really good way to do it. And I've done this for 15 years, and I've always done it this way. So to me, it's just like hanging with you know. One thing I've been really lucky with, and I've talked to a lot of you know other doctors around the country, is that a lot of them work in the operating room alone. Like they have to operate alone. It's you know, sometimes their partners will will kind of come with it. But I've been lucky where I've always had, I know, someone who I can say, hey, you know, do you want to come do this case with me? Because we actually cover two hospitals. But any big case like orthodontic, you know, TMJ, trauma, I always have someone across the table. So I never struggle, or I have another set of eyes. So I've been lucky just always having a friend next to me while I operate. So kudos to those who you know do it alone. And I know a lot of you guys and girls do. But yes, so my favorite thing day to day is after doing my, you know, the hamster wheel of teeth and titanium, I get to hang out, you know, with these doctors who are excited because they're you know they're close to being, oh, they're kind of fresh out of residency, but not as similar to our 2 3, but they still have that energy where they want to go in, they want to operate on everything, and they make you realize just how lucky we are to be able to do this. They have the trust of our patients who are, you know, who are being operated on, and you know you don't lose that excitement because they're so excited, and that's just infectious. So to be, again, straight up, no BS, it's working with these fellows because they keep me young. Again, so that is my favorite part. Because again, you know, the same thing, scratches every single day, all in X. You know, I do a lot of them, but again, you know, every single trauma case, every single orthodontic case has its own little thing, and be able to kind of, you know, learn from them and just be around them because they're so happy to be there still. Like they don't care about the late hours. They don't care, you know, that they haven't eaten, you know, lunch yet. They're ready to rock and roll. So it's awesome.
Committed.
Yeah. And then, as you know, the OR versus, you know, your office, the OR is it's a different animal. Like it just
Totally different.
to be honest, it's a very fun environment. Like everyone's kind of like hanging out, talking, and you know they're very like it's actually more relaxing. Like when you're operating. I'm not doing the anesthesia, so I like
That too.
my patients, you know, pretty still. But yeah, everyone just kind of gets along, and it's just like again, like it's that camaraderie. I
The
love it.
camaraderie, yeah.
That's why I love, man. Like hand to God, like I don't know if I'd be doing this if I didn't have, you know, a co-resident with me on all these big cases because you know suffering alone is just not fun. It's just not fun at all. So to me, it's just hanging out and just doing cool stuff.
The camaraderie and teamwork. I'm gonna double down on that. I agree. I think that's one of the things that drew me to oral surgery. Like I had worked for an oral surgeon in my gap year in between undergrad and dental school, but then in dental school, going the externships. Externships are when you spend, for listeners, when you spend a week at a time throughout the country, wherever you're interested in going to an oral surgery program. You spend a week and you get to shadow residents, you get to go in the OR, maybe you get to do cases and assist. But it was there that I saw that teamwork exactly that you're talking about. And so I can understand going back to the hospitals and then spending time with the fellow, maybe residents if you're at a program with residents, other people, you know. But it's that camaraderie, it's hanging out in the OR, it's getting stuff done, but it's the teamwork in it
Yeah,
that makes it very fun. And people that are listening to this in residency, they know exactly what we're talking about. They know there's an attending that they never want to work with because they just suck. You know what I mean? They're
too,
not
but I
fun.
won't. Yeah, again, so you understand, man. It's a lot. Like all those very serious environment, you know, but
Mm,
things get done, and you know, people again, the personalities are usually really fun to kind of work with.
yeah.
Yeah, that's my favorite part by far. Again, you know, you know when you pull like 50 teeth a day, it's the same thing. But when you know, there's only a few trauma cases that you can do every day, so
Mm.
it's fun. It's fun, and plus
It's a
all
good variety.
and plus all the stories, you know, like how they ended up at your hospital. It's like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
and then you trade the other funny stories. Like, yeah, like I believe them. Church was rough that day for them. Yeah, it's always amazing. Yeah, but you know what? It keeps you totally young, and yeah, it's those
You said this mandible was fractured 3 days ago? You sure 3 days ago, not 3 weeks ago, right?
well,
Right?
thanks. I was on call for Thanksgiving weekend or week, and you know that's always interesting. So I had a few
Yeah.
interesting cases. But yeah, you know, it's just trading war stories. It's always a fun time for us.
Anything fun? Anything fun last? When did you just finish call? You said 10 days in a row.
So I was on call. I actually went to my friend's course in Kansas City. So I actually wasn't meant to be on call this weekend, but my new partner was actually meant to be on call. So I was on call actually from Friday till like the weekend, and this past Sunday, so just yesterday. A lot of people, who were celebrating Thanksgiving and just fell. We had about 3, 4 mandibles, nothing crazy, gross, but a lot of people just kind of are having a really good time, and they may have fell over a step or bushes, and they'd use their hands to kind of catch themselves, so their jaws did. So
Yeah.
yeah, so nothing wild, but again, it was
Sometimes the steps, the bushes, the floor,
they
they
come in front of you, man.
sometimes.
They come out of nowhere. Like it's weird.
Those steps, they love to move on us, a couple drinks, all of a sudden they're moving everywhere.
So, but you haven't gotten your actual, I guess, privileges yet for any hospitals yet. It's been like a few months, hasn't it?
It's been a few months. It's
Are
been
you
a few months.
frustrated?
I am very frustrated. And I'm working on one hospital that I haven't heard from in a month. And the last thing that they set up is that they're not setting up anyone for part-time. And I was told that I could work part-time there. But it's been very interesting. They also don't pay surgeons to take call. Maybe it's the same in St. Louis, but it's like no payment. So we have to pay to put the application and everything, but then to like go to the OR to take call, everything it's no payment. So it's a little weird how it's set up.
Yes, St. Louis is a little different because we don't have any oral surgery residencies here, so they kind of want us to be there. And
Hmm.
of course, not many people want to take trauma call. For the hours, and usually it's not a lot of private insurances. So that being
Yeah.
said, no, St. Louis is one of those really great, wonderful places where if you want to get on any hospital bill, you usually will say, "Giddy up, come on out." We waiting for you. Compensation, yeah. The hospitals that I'm at, there is compensation for call.
Mm.
But they're trauma level 1 and 2. But the smaller hospitals, yeah, they don't want you to obviously pay you because they don't have enough cases for you. Um,
Yeah.
oh, but again, so um, you know, like where I was doing the being fellowship at Mercy, they've always had like oral surgeons, or sorry, OS taking call there for face and
Mm.
dental, and then Mercy South, which actually was formerly St. Anthony's. I actually had the fun task of trying to get set up, with compensation and kind of get a little program there. So I be able to kind of get through that journey of setting up a true like legit oral surgery, I guess, a department at
Yeah.
yourself. So it's been good.
Yeah. I follow. It baffles me that a hospital could get to the point where they just don't want to pay the surgeons that are doing the work for them. It's not the administrator that's suturing up someone's face; it's the surgeon that's doing that. Like, well, how did it get to this point where they're not paying the surgeon or the resident? Like, I never.
That's a whole new conversation that we can have. I have a whole thought on that, and but you're right. The hospitals are moving to more internalizing a lot of the departments, and part of your employment with them is taking call, which is like that's crazy.
Yeah.
Like going to be up for 24 hours, and yeah,
Right.
again, as oral surgeons, we're very lucky where it's like, I can just do this in my office. Well, I can just stay in my office and do very well.
Mm.
So we're very lucky where we're not like shackled to the hospital if we don't want to. But yeah, it's a whole new thing that we can talk off camera. I
Yeah.
don't want
We
to say
could.
anyone, but yeah, no, I hear exactly what you're saying. Absolutely.
Yeah. I think that's. I don't know. Yeah. I mean, I got to see where it goes. I got to pass the boards first. But I'd almost rather. That's a battle that might not ever get solved because you're up against a whole army. But I'd almost rather spend some time to try to do that to provide for other oral surgeons to do the work they want to do, because that's what it's coming down to. Is we want to do the trauma, we want to do the orthognathic. We change people's lives with orthognathic surgery, and between the insurance companies and the hospitals, we're hitting a wall to actually perform that and do that and help people in the way they need. So that's kind of and that's like widespread. You know what I mean? Some hospitals pay here, some don't over there, but like it's widespread problem. The insurance reimbursements and just the hospital bureaucracy. So that's we'll see where everything settles after boards. But I'm kind of looking at that as like that's a big monster that we might not ever take down, but I kind of want to go for it, because that will, if we make a little headway, that will literally change.
And
That'll change a lot.
we got to keep our presence in the hospital, just 20 years ago, they're trying to get us out of the hospitals, right? Like it was,
Yeah.
that's for my understanding, that was the big push for the dual degree program, right? To try and be seen as equals. That being said, yeah, I definitely recommend trying to stay in the hospital. Keep your hands kind of ready, and
Yeah.
your skills, not stagnant. And again, it's again, you do it because you love it. You do it because you want to provide to your community. At the same time, also, I'm not gonna lie to you, the other big thing that we no one ever talks about is like being part of the hospital. You make a lot of friends in other specialties. So if you have
Yeah.
questions, concerns, you need a hand with something, you can call someone personally that,
Mm.
hey, can you help me out? And usually because they're your colleagues as well now, that yeah, sure, come on in. So yeah, again, it's not about the money for the hospital, because yeah, I'll never forget. This is again, I'm happy to share this, but I remember like there was a doctor, Kiera Brown, who's a fellow, and she she didn't understand like how difficult the competition was, and her and I did a frontal sinus, we did a ZMC arch, did a coronal flap and everything. Did 4 hours in the operating room, after hours being bumped. I showed her the EOB. It was like, after 4 hours of work, it's like $700. And she's like, what? I'm like, yeah, that's what it pays. But again, you do it because, dude, you got to go to your, because when you get older, what's the one thing that you're going to bring with you? Because we're all going to be fine. We're all going to do well. No one's going to
Mm.
starve. What's going to come with you? It's going to be those experiences, which no one can ever take from you. Even if you're on the porch, you're in a
Yeah.
wheelchair, you have this horrible arthritis from setting up, too long. It's those fun stories of like, yeah, I remember when I did this and that. And so again, you got to go and walking into this knowing that, yeah, I'm not going to drive the Ferrari doing this, but something which you can't take away from me, which is the experience.
Yeah.
So that's one part that I love, and that's what brings me back. I'm sure everyone's like, why am I still doing this? Like, this is crazy. Like it's after hours. My family wants to see me. But again, it's that passion to do surgery, as well as
Yeah.
it's just the experience of like saying, I did some really cool stuff, when I was younger, and you're a surgeon, you feel like a surgeon because
Mm.
you're doing surgery, like like really big, big pants surgery. So again, I don't see myself ever not doing it. The call thing, because I take direct calls still now. Maybe in a few years I'll say, what, I'll let the fellows just take all that, but I still do some. Yeah. So at Mercy South, which is the trauma level
Man.
2, I still take direct calls. So again, it's not horrible. It's level 2, and if I have a big case, I just call the fellow, come on down. But yeah, I'm sure I'll be slowing down at least with the direct call the next few years. I think once you hit 50, it's like I'm slowing down a little bit.
How many kids do you have? How
I
many kids you
do.
got at
I have
home?
a 4-year-old, Eden, who is energy. Holy schmoly. She is crazy. She reminds me of Animal from the Muppets. She's wild and nuts, but I love her to death. And my son Ezra, who's 7, who just every day amazes me. He's just super creative. Like yesterday, he built a dragon out of Lego, out of memory, and we're like, how'd you do this? So yeah, I have two different kind of, I have Wild Animal, and I have the super creative quiet guy, and it's been awesome. It's a lot of early mornings. I don't know if you have kids yet, but it's a lot of early mornings. They're in our bed at 6, and they want to talk and like move around, and but yeah, no, that having kids has definitely made it, yeah, my life just meaningful. Like it's awesome. Like you get to watch them grow up, and just
Mhm.
kind of the one thing about kids that they like to like vocalize their thoughts about everything at all times. So
Mm.
those kind of just shoot random things at you, even things that happen at school. There was some friend interaction, but you have no idea who these people are. Look at your whole story. Remember this time? I went, it's super cute. So I'm in that phase of the kids are just awesome. Like they're my best friends. Like they're just good times. And
Yeah.
I get to go to Sky Zone, and no one like looks at me funny. If I went to Sky Zone alone, people, do you have Sky Zone in New York? I'm like,
No. What's it?
a trampoline park. So I get to go to
Whoa, 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 whoa.
and not look like a total like, oh, what's that guy doing here? So it's a great time.
So now you get to go with your kids. I get it
Yeah,
now.
yeah. Oh, yeah. Sorry, I assume that they're everywhere. They're just kind of, yeah. Here they're everywhere. But great time. It's a great workout. But if you don't go with your kids, it's like, Like, what's it? He's a blind.
Gotta go with your kids. Yeah,
I have two of them, so they don't look at me too funny.
yeah. Lean alone. I feel like what's it called? The it's like a super jump when you jump at the same
Oh
time. I
yeah,
bet like
yeah.
when you do it, they just
They're just no. So I try not to go on the same square as them because my
Mm.
biggest fear is just falling down and like crushing like one of them. And not only my
Oh
kids, but
yeah,
other kids around. So usually they kind of have little squares that you can kind of jump in, and you're just kind of in your own
yeah,
zone. But if a kid comes across mine, I kind of slow down because they said like I have bigger bones. So if I fall on someone, it's probably not going to be the best look for me because I'm like what's that guy doing here jumping? So I do take precautions.
yeah. And when did you meet your wife? Was it dental school? Was it before? Was it
That's
residency?
a great question. How do because yeah, so my wife was actually a dental student at Tufts. So as you know, I'm from Canada, and I was planning on going back to Toronto after this. So I have my Canadian license, but then to get into the fellowship, I had to have a U.S. license. So when I did my
Mm,
licensing exam at Detroit, I did the Canadian boards because I thought I was going to go home to Toronto, and then I got into the fellowship, and part of it was to actually have a U.S. license. So during my chief year, I had to do the NERP. Yeah, so that's when we got
okay.
packs on teeth and like so I was doing endo accesses and class 5 preps, and I was like I didn't know what I was doing, but fortunately because Tufts is a dental school based oral surgery program, we're actually like the school's oral surgery is actually inside the actual dental school. I had access to
Mm,
everything after the labs. I can buy the mannequins and thing is being chief, I literally would have to walk down to the dental unit and say, "Hey, where can I find this or that?" I didn't know where anything was, and
yeah,
she claims that she noticed me, but I didn't notice her because I was so busy, just saying yes to everything. So she kind of helped me prep for the exam, and she's this pretty cool girl. And we get along. We have lots to talk about, obviously shop and everything, and we started. I asked her basically. She was actually working at a restaurant part time while she was in a dental school, and I basically said, hey, after
wow,
work, do you want to go for a drink? On Facebook, I'm like, hey, like, do you want to go for a drink? She said yes, and then we hung out and started hanging out more, and then we moved in, and then we moved to St. Louis. So yeah, I kind of got lucky again, being in the right place at the right time, and yeah, so she helped me actually pass my boards. So that was
that's amazing.
yeah, it
Yeah,
was amazing is watch after like 4 years, trying to prep teeth. Like it's not as easy as it
right.
looks. Like it's a lot of like delicate hand movements. So yeah,
It's true. 4 years later, that
yeah,
could be a lot to forget for
well,
sure.
a ton. But hey, you know what? I passed somehow. I think they still felt sorry for me. I had my like OR loops on, loops on, and I had my headlight walls working there. It's like, who's that guy? But it all worked out fine. I got my license, and now I'm staying in St. Louis. So, but hey,
Yeah,
I have options.
right. Is she from
No,
Boston?
she's
How
actually
did that
from
end up?
Seattle. So when we moved here for the fellowship, obviously it was kind of hard. I'm from Toronto. She's from Seattle. Both very vibrant, kind of fun cities. And not knowing too much about St. Louis, it's a
Mm,
hard sell. It's like, okay, well, we'll go to St. Louis for a year and then we'll figure it out. But once we got here, like again, the city's awesome. Like again, time in my life, I'm not a big partier. I'm not a big drinker. I'm not a big club guy. So, but the food scene here is really, really good. And again, the biggest thing coming from Boston, there's no traffic. Like there's at all hours of the day, there's no traffic. I swear to God, even at 5 o'clock, you can go anywhere that you want. So yeah, so we ended up. I got the job offer while I was a fellow, and I'm like, yeah, sign me up. And again, also the cost of living from, I don't know if you heard, but Toronto, Seattle are known to have a very, very high cost of living. So when you start looking at your bank
Boston too.
accounts, like, whoa, I have money I can save up. Like, the cost of my first house mortgage was less than my rent in Boston. So I was like, ooh, this is nice. This is actually, I got a lot of space. And oh, yeah, that's a whole new story. The house thing was funny because I was actually a fellow still, and I was operating, and this was during my last 2 months, and I was doing a case, and we were looking at houses, kind of like just because obviously we knew that we're stay here. We kind of like saw maybe 3 houses, and I just get a text one night while still operating that we bought a house. I'm like, what? Like so. She kind of met our criteria, but she kind of just bought the house, and I'm like, all right, well, I guess we are doing it.
Done deal.
Yeah, again, still cheaper. It literally, even the mortgage was slightly more than my rent of my apartment. And that wasn't matter. It was awesome to have a house, yeah, and
Yeah.
also obviously the doctor's loans are very nice as well. Like very very little down,
They
no
help.
PMI. So yeah, so that's a whole new thing. But yeah, so she's been the again a great part. She's been awesome. My wife, I can't tell you what a great woman she is. Like she tolerated a lot of crazy things, a lot of late nights, and she's never complained. And I'm not saying that she understands, and she saw me work hard as a resident, of course, and
Hmm.
but this is who I am, and this is what I do, and so she's been my rock, and I yeah, she's always had my back. So Allison, love you. If she ever watches this, I don't know. But she sees me, she'll know. She'll know.
You need someone. You need a rock like that. You need
Absolutely.
someone who's just always there, who's there to help you out, kind of take things off your plate, and then it's that compatibility. That's I think a lot of people overlook that. I think they really do. It's good to have someone who understands what you're going through too. You guys met. She was in dental school. You were in chief year of residency, and then you're not done. You got to go do another year in fellowship. You need someone who understands what that means to an extent, because it's very hard to understand what an oral surgery residency is and then a fellowship from a dental student perspective. But to have an idea, if you were to,
Yeah.
if you, you get what I'm saying. If you were someone in like,
Like again, she's had a lot of late nights by herself. Like or I gotta go. Sorry. Like got a page middle of dinner. Gotta go. Like that's just the way it is,
right.
right? So she's been understanding, and she's been supportive. And you're right. Choosing a partner is the best, most important financial decision you'll ever make.
Mm.
Every book says. But again, just having a partner who supports you and roots you on, and it's been a blessing. I just got in life really really lucky. Got good friends and a good place. Like a wonderful wife, wonderful kids. So yeah, no, I lucked out, and I don't know what I did right in this life, but hey, I will take it. It's it's a good time, man.
Yeah, man.
Every day.
And I'm glad it's going so well. I'm looking forward to seeing you next year too at the St. Louis Court. I mean, I won't be doing it to study. I want to go there though. I want to hang out with the guys.
You're always welcome to be part of the group. Yeah, I mean, seriously, come on down. As you know, we have great dinners. And because we use a lot of plates and screws, they like to bring us out and shows how much we mean to them. So no, it's dude, we will definitely put you on the invite list. If you're looking to lecture or even do proctoring, once you pass, which of course you will.
I got to
And
pass. Got to
we're
pass.
always looking. Obviously, we like to keep it smaller, so we're not going to be this big, huge, monster of course. That's not what we are here for. We're here to kind of this teach and also keep them small, intimate, because that's what we are.
Yeah.
We're not the big call you in front of 400 people, small groups where you actually feel comfortable to talk and you actually can chat with us and ask us questions. And it's a great
Got to be.
it's a great time. And that's the key. Keep it small. We're like the boutique course. We're just going to be small and individualized and very approachable. That's the key. Like we want to know more about your stories than telling our stories. We want to know where you guys are from and what you guys are doing. And again, we actually, as we give you our cell phones, our emails, calls, texts,
It's true.
and I get texts once in a while. Hey, can I ask you a question? Sure. Well, let's chat about it.
Mm.
It's a good time. But again, like it's those connections which are really fun, man. Again, it's not about the money. Trust me. If you knew how much it would cost to put these courses on, it's not cheap.
Yeah.
But again, it's about the camaraderie, connections, and having a good time. Again, the weekend of all our friends, getting together. So it can kind of force us to all meet every year in the same spot, and
Mm.
it's absolutely the greatest thing. I love it.
It is. It is, man.
Next
Yeah.
year you're going to
We'll
come.
see.
So there we go, and you'll learn firsthand. Not just one night, all 3 nights, because the last night gets a little crazy. I won't lie to you. When there's no more teaching going on, yeah. So the things we do at last night, my friend Benji, he's the chef of a sushi bar near us, and he brings in these magnums of sake, and just for us, and it hurts next day. It hurts, but it's a great time. So you have to experience that liver just like gurgling, like, oh, like what did you do to me? That like little live pickling of it. It's yeah.
The headache, the grogginess. Yeah, you got to do
I
it once
know.
in a while. You got to remind yourself,
Be bad.
Well, Dr. Reddy, thank you so much for coming on today. This was a fun chat.
Well, thank you. Listen, thanks for having me on. I'm honored. I wasn't expected, but thanks for giving a shout out to us and the fellowship. And I encourage anyone who is even a few years out and you're thinking about maybe going to a more full scope practice and see how we do things. Even if you don't want to do the fellowship, come visit us for a week or a few days to see how we do things. And meet some really cool doctors who like to teach and have fun. Again, it's not a fellowship in the sense where like you're going to be just dumped on. Like you're going to be part of a family, and we're all going to work together, and we'll all have a great time and try and get out at a reasonable hour together, right? But yeah, no, always a pleasure, man. Please, if you need anything from me, obviously call me, text me, and I hope I'll see you next year in St. Louis. Okay.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Awesome.
Thank you. Thanks again, man.
All right, you have a great night, man. All right, ciao.
You too, and happy holidays. Yeah, we got the holidays coming up.
If I don't see it, all right.
All right, man. You have a good night.